Martell Holt had a bold plan that could have turned the show upside down, and if things had gone his way, Arionne Curry would have become the brand new star of the series. Just think about that for a moment. The idea alone shook people who heard it. But what really sent shockwaves through the cast, the fans, and the insiders was that Carlos King stepped in at the very last minute and shut the whole thing down. Now, this wasn't just another disagreement about storylines or who gets more screen time. This was about power, about influence, and about who really gets to shape the future of the show. So, I need you to stick around until the end of this video because the details that come out of this situation are wilder than anything we've seen on screen. Martell Holt has always been someone who thinks big, sometimes too big for his own good. We've seen him over the years try to control situations, push boundaries, and shake up dynamics whether the rest of the cast likes it or not. He's the kind of person who sees a chance to make a splash and wants to dive in head first. And that's exactly what happened here. When he saw Arionne Curry, someone already tied to him in a complicated and controversial way, starting to get attention from viewers, Martell thought this was his chance to rewrite the rules of the game. Arionne, in his eyes, wasn't just another cast member. She was someone who could rise, take center stage, and maybe even replace the power that Melody Sherry once held as the leading woman on the show. That's already a dangerous idea, right? Imagine the fallout of that decision. And that's why you really need to keep watching, because when Martell made his pitch, the idea sounded simple but explosive. Arionne Curry, who had already caused tension because of her history with Martell and Melody, would step forward as the new breakout star. She had charisma, she had energy, and according to insiders, she had been catching the audience's eye in her appearances. Social media was buzzing with her name, and the idea of giving her a bigger role didn't seem far-fetched. In Martell's mind, she could carry the show into its next chapter, appealing to a younger audience and creating fresh storylines. It was bold, it was dramatic, and it would get people talking. And Martell loves nothing more than attention. But here's the problem. The person Martell had to convince wasn't just another cast member. He had to get Carlos King on board. Now, Carlos isn't just a producer. He's the person who protects the balance of the show. He knows the fans, he knows the cast dynamics, and he knows how risky it can be to make sudden shifts. And when Martell brought him this idea, Carlos listened, but deep down, he already knew this was dangerous. He reportedly said the timing was wrong, the cast wasn't ready for that change, and the fans might not respond the way Martell thought they would. So instead of giving Martell the green light, Carlos King did the opposite. He stopped the plan, and in doing so, he created a controversy that is still being talked about today. And let me tell you, this wasn't just about Arionne. This was about control. Martell wanted to prove that he could shape the show, that he could decide who rises and who falls. Meanwhile, Carlos was determined to show that no matter how big Martell's ideas are, the ultimate decision lies with him. And that's why people are debating this moment so much. Was Carlos protecting the integrity of the show, or was he shutting down Martell to remind him who's in charge? Now, let's talk about how the rest of the cast felt, because you know they had opinions. Melody Sherry, of course, would have seen this as an insult. Imagine her ex-husband trying to replace her with the very woman who had been tied to their marriage problems.
Or seen before,
For Melody,
so
this wouldn't just be about the show. It would be personal, it would be painful, and it would feel like betrayal on the biggest stage. Fans who support Melody immediately voiced their outrage online when the rumors spread, saying there was no way they would ever accept Arionne stepping into that spotlight. Then you have Letitia Scott and Marceau Scott, who have always had complicated relationships with Martell and Melody. For them, seeing Arionne rise could have shifted power dynamics even further. Would they have supported it, or would they have been nervous about what it meant for their own screen time? And let's not forget Kimmy Scott and Maurice Scott, who often try to stay neutral, but always end up caught in the middle of the drama. The idea of Arionne suddenly becoming central could have caused even more cracks in the fragile relationships among the group. This is where things get really interesting. Fans on social media went wild with their reactions. Some people actually supported Martell's idea, saying Arionne brought a kind of raw, unfiltered energy that the show sometimes lacks. They argued that she could make the storylines fresher and keep the drama alive. But others, probably the majority, were outraged. They felt it would be disrespectful to Melody and damaging to the show's balance. Memes, hashtags, and fan campaigns started popping up, and soon enough, What could have been a quiet behind-the-scenes discussion turned into a full-blown public debate. And here's the hook you need to stay for, because even though Carlosi shut the plan down, insiders say this might not be the end of the story. Arrion herself reportedly wasn't crushed by the decision. Yes, she was disappointed, but she didn't walk away. Instead, she's been quietly building herself up, preparing for the moment when her time really does come. She's been working on her brand, improving her presence, and according to some sources, even considering spin-off opportunities. That means while this door was closed, another one might open, and it could be even bigger than the role Martell originally imagined for her. Now, let's circle back to Martell for a moment. He didn't take the denial lightly. Reports say he pushed back, arguing with Carlos and insisting that bold moves were necessary to keep the show relevant in a crowded reality TV market. Martell pointed to social media engagement, trending topics, and even compared the show to others in the reality space, saying they needed to step it up if they wanted to keep fans hooked. But at the end of the day, Carlos's word was final, and that was that. This created even more tension between the two men, because Martell doesn't like being told no, and Carlos doesn't like having his authority challenged. That's a recipe for conflict if I've ever seen one. The ripple effects of this decision didn't stop behind the scenes. Once word got out, the cast started reacting in their own ways. Some cast members admitted they respected Arionne's hustle and believed she had potential. Others quietly expressed relief because they feared her rise would have thrown everything off balance. This created a split energy among the cast, where some people were supportive and others were cautious. And that kind of divide can cause problems later on. And that's why you need to keep watching until the end, because this isn't just about Arrion. It's about the entire future of love and marriage, Huntsville. Even the fans who supported Arrion had to admit that timing is everything. Some argued that maybe Carlos was right, maybe she needed more time to grow before stepping into such a huge role. They pointed out that many stars in the reality TV world have faced setbacks before their big break, and that patience could actually work in her favor. Others weren't so forgiving. They accused Carlos of playing favorites, of protecting certain cast members while blocking others, and they said the show was missing out on a golden opportunity to evolve. And that brings us to the most important part of this entire situation, the future. What happens now? Does Arrion fade into the background, or does she keep climbing until she can no longer be ignored? Does Martell keep fighting for her, or does he shift his attention to other ways of stirring the pot? And what about Carlos King? Will he eventually give in to fan pressure, or will he stay firm in his belief that timing and strategy matter more than bold moves? By now, you can see that this wasn't just another behind-the-scenes decision. This was a turning point, a clash between two powerful men, and a reminder that in reality TV, what happens off-camera can sometimes be more dramatic than anything we see on screen. Arionne's story is far from over, and the way she handles this setback might actually define her rise in the future. And if fans keep pushing, if the cast keeps reacting, and if Martell keeps stirring the pot, then we might just see another shocking twist sooner than we think. So don't go anywhere, because the drama is only just beginning.